Welcome, welcome, welcome to Fired Up AuthorSpeaks. Thank you for joining us today. Rebecca, the founder and CEO of Fount of Grace Creatives. We are doing a round of AuthorSpeaks, connecting with the different authors who are sharing their inspiring stories of how they thrived despite going through traumas, hardship, difficult times. Drop in a hashtag live if you're joining us live right now, or a hashtag replay if you catch us later on. And also, we'd love to know where you're joining us from. Today, we have a very special guest, Donna. She is the CEO of Mountainside Clothing and an influencer among LuLaRoe retailers with a sustained sales among the top 1% of the company. She is a coach, mentor, and speaker. Welcome, Donna.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So great to have you here with us. So, Donna, let's start with your story. So, can you share the story that you're talking about in the book and a little bit about your background and about yourself?
Oh, absolutely. So, first things first, my background, I'll hit that and then I'll get into the story. First things first, I've had about a 35-year career in high-tech industry. I did take a few years off to teach high school computer science. I have several degrees. I always believed that education got you where you wanted to be in life, although I have since learned that formal education isn't necessarily for everyone. Um, but I have enjoyed a very successful career. And one of the things in my career, high tech career, is I built a professional women's organization where we worked on personal and professional development. And I inspired and helped ladies climb the corporate ladder and find positions of responsibility and authority that would take them to the next level in their development. And one of the core values in that working together was leveraging confidence and helping them figure out what decisions and actions would be useful to catapult them to the next level. And so, together you share struggles. So I've mentored and I've coached ladies through the ranks. I've also helped ladies in other careers, other businesses actually advance their cause. So when I get into the story I'm focusing on probably something that is huge in my background is that I have, and I know there's many other people, I'm not the only one, I'm just speaking up, okay, um, who have gone through struggles or storms in their life, and they're overwhelmed. They're really not able to capture quite how to tackle the problem. They could face issues like depression. They feel rejection. Maybe they feel oppressed. Maybe they feel like they're stuck in their way. And so in my story, what I do is I hone in on, because I'm a survivor of storms. That's what I've been told many times over. So one of the most formative storms in my life was one that I tackled as a kid. And I recognized the problem of my storm and me being in it through a series of things that occurred. And leveraging one of my loves of life to read, I was able to get some promise and understand how to work through it. So my problem was I was born into a family that didn't want me, my mother nor my dad. And they said some pretty hurtful things. It was programmed into me that, I was a mistake, wish she hadn't had me. My dad wished me dead. I mean, the things your kids never want to hear, I heard. Instead of internalizing it, I took those words because I don't know what it was inside me. I just didn't believe what I was hearing. I knew that there was something more to life, and it was through the gift of reading that I figured that out. Um, so all this programming, my parents ended up getting divorced when I was 8 years old. And I went from being just a kid to almost like an adult because I had to adult for myself. I had to worry about meals. I had to worry about getting my clothes washed. I had to make sure I had upgrade on my outfits for school and stuff. I had to be an entrepreneur. go find Coca-Cola bottles out in the country and put them in a little wagon and take them to the grocery store and cash them in so I could have a little extra money to go buy a pair of jeans I wanted or something. So I was all the time looking for something, how I could overcome, how I could survive. Well, the biggest thing in all this is all this negativity and toxicity that I was born into the environment of. I could have chose to just be like everybody else and do what my parents were doing. And if I did that, then I would have followed in my sister's footsteps. And she chose to have children. She never, well, she did get married, but she never really had any meaningful relationships. And she found herself most of her adult life while raising her children, she was on welfare. Now, welfare is, some people use it as a basis for life, and other people will use it for hand up. Well, unfortunately, my sister, it might have been a hand up later in life, but she really leveraged it for what it was. And, stayed at home, didn't work, things like that. And I'm not putting her down, but those were choices in her life. And her choices were very different because I didn't feel like I had to accept my circumstances and deal with them. I decided to work with the conditions and make them better. And as a kid, you're so naive about things. It was like, okay, I got to take control. I got to take control. And it is by brute force, me taking control, things will be better. And, we in life always do that. And I say it's for me, it was not as insightful as it is today. Today, I believe I'm in a situation where I don't need to take control. I can surrender my situation. And God tells me to be still, and He's got this. And yet He blesses me. He blesses me in many different ways while I'm working through the storm or moving out. And sometimes you find out that you're in the center of the storm or you're on the edge of the storm. And when I was little, I felt like I was the center. But when I look back as an adult of all the collective experience, I realized I was on the edge and I was just coping, trying to figure out how to get by. Some of the things I don't really get into details of, which I have a vision of being able to share more later, is when my parents got divorced, my mother had the sleeping disease. That's what they called it then, which is diabetes 2 now. And she went undiagnosed for probably 11, 12 years without any treatment. She also was a paranoid schizophrenic. She was clinically diagnosed. And when my parents got divorced, she was probably around year 15 to 16 in that phase of where she was that. And as a kid, I had no idea what she was dealing with, and she never really told anybody. But, paranoid schizophrenics, they're paranoid about everything. They hear voices. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are going on. So on a day-to-day basis, my life was not get up, get dressed, or, get a bath, get dressed, go to school, and do the thing. When I came home, I had to worry whether or not I was going to be attacked because she would hit me or beat me up for something that happened, and it could have been that day or it could have been 20 years ago. Something happened to her and she was taking it out on me. So I went through an awful lot. I mean, I don't hate her. It's all behind me. There was a lot of bitterness there. But going through that struggle and trying to figure out how to survive it, how to move on, that was really hard on my lap. I ended up running away when I was 15. I don't talk about this in the book, but I mean, it's, just progression, certain things that I had to do, certain decisions. And I do believe that the path that was laid before me was inspired. And actually, I believe God carried me through it because I don't know how humanly anybody could go through it. But I share my experiences with the idea that there is hope and that, if you choose positivity, and when you're feeling your weakest moment in trying to be positive, if you just tap on mercy and kindness and put that out in the world, it comes back to you tenfold or even multiple fold beyond that. I believe that no one has to accept their circumstances. There are ways around anything. It's kind of like a really hard thing to accept. But, if you hear no, many people will walk away and feel discouraged. When I hear a no and I want it to be a yes, I figure out the path to get it to be a yes. And that's the difference. Figuring out that path to get it to be a yes is putting your faith forward over fear. And no matter what, acting on your faith, even if you're afraid, you can do it. I answered that question in a very long way. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you for sharing all of that, and I'm really sorry that you had to go through all of that. And you know, can't even imagine how it would have been, as a little child having to face, you know, from all the angles, uh, yeah. But it's really great that you've come out, like you've grown up with so much positivity in you, and you spread that around, and there's no keeping you down. All these adversities, all these storms have not like snuffed you out. It's made you shine and help more people. It hasn't put you down. So that's really great that that has come up. Uh, like such situations, I can help people grow and try to find better ways, or they can also scare people into inactivity, or just go back into themselves and get into depression and all that. So how did you handle those situations?
So for me, I think things are different now, but as I was growing, there was a huge stigma about mental health and about if you went for counseling. I had secret clearances or higher, and I really, if you went to someone to talk about a problem, they made mountains out of molehills, and they were considering to pull your clearance because you're mentally unstable in their mind. I mean, there was all that stuff going on. So I navigated the waters without going through formal therapy, but I in turn knew that I could improve myself by maybe reading books on self improvement, by choosing to set goals for myself and achieve them. So, and this is interesting because in the roadmap, we'll talk about it a little bit. The idea is that you pick 3 to 5 things that you really, really want, right? And then you write down a tactical plan of how you're going to do it. And hopefully you can get them achieved in 5 years or under so you can keep revisiting your plan and adding more. But that's really what I did. I mean, from from when I was able to remove myself from a terrible situation like that and I got into foster care, I realized that I had a future ahead of me and I could define it. My destiny was there. I could define it. What did I want to accomplish? So, in the eyes of a 15-year-old, this is what I wanted to accomplish. At this time, I wanted to have a college degree. I wanted to be a medical doctor. That changed a little bit later in life, but I wanted to be a medical doctor and I wanted to serve others. So the desire to lift ladies or lift people in general and to be kind has always been ingrained in me. Um, if I had moments where it was sheer meanness, I was just being a typical teenager, but it was very rare. So if I was like really being mean to somebody, it was because I was fighting back and I didn't know how to do it differently. Because I wasn't the aggravator or instigator. I was always trying to take care of myself because nobody else was. Um, but when I think about, the big picture, if you don't have your goals in place, then you won't achieve them. So I wanted to be a college graduate because I knew I could make more money in the technical field. I wanted to be a doctor, but when I was in college, they made me take a computer science class, and it was scary to me how much fun I was having computer programming, and I really didn't want to study about biology or anything. I wanted to just program. So I changed. I made a shift change. It wasn't a knee jerk. It was a real assessment of my joy and my passion and what did I really want to do. And I found great fulfillment in programming and tinkering around with computers. So that was a change. But then after I made that change and I got in the career, in order for me to advance, I had to figure out what I needed to do next. Did I need to get an MBA? Did I need an advanced technical degree? What did I need? And so I set those forth. And I also, after I graduated, I had a goal that I was going to find a life companion. The funny thing is on my 22nd birthday, I found my life companion. And it was a month before I graduated from college. How cool was that? So, I mean, God had his way of answering my prayer, which, by the way, I won't have time to really put it in this book. It's not in this book, but I'm going to do something, but the answer of prayer, you need to understand that, you don't pray for something and just, oh, well, he didn't answer my prayer. No, God hears every prayer, and either he's going to answer it on his time, within his will, and with your blessing. And sometimes he opens up the floodgate of blessings before you are prepared to receive what you're asking for. So just know that. So the whole thing about me finding my life partner, and did I know that he was my life partner when I met him? No, I did not. I had been engaged 3 times prior to, I wouldn't say men, boys who were very self-engaged, not really focused on me. And I was smart enough to say no more. And, God just, he right there. So I was ready for that next mission, right? And I also wanted to have children. I wanted to have a dog with a house, and it didn't happen exactly the way I wanted. I had my dog from the time I was 17, but my house, I married Tim, was pregnant with my first baby, and then I had my house. So it wasn't in the order that I wanted, but it was on God's timing. So, it's just when you set out goals of what you want, whether they're materialistic or they're fulfillment, which, by the way, I find more joy in juice. And I'm saying juice in a really good way here, okay? More joy in juice in fulfillment. For things that you cannot touch, that are intangible, when you pray for things like that, all the other stuff just starts coming together. And God does answer. He may not answer it on your timing, but he does answer. And, that's just the way it is. But anyway, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Uh, so out of all this coaching and mentoring and all that you have helped a lot of people with, and sharing your story now, what kind of an impact or a legacy do you want to leave behind?
So it's a little cliche, but I can do it. Anybody can do whatever they put their mind to. And a lot of times when you're overwhelmed and you can't focus, there seems to be a fog around you. When you are able to take a deep breath and start focusing on real things that you can do to make a difference in your situation, it will get a lot better. If you're sitting around and you're overwhelmed and everybody's doing things to you, it's because you've surrendered control to them and you can take it back. The toxicity in your life, if somebody's telling you can't do something, why are they saying that? Does it mean that you don't have the money? Does it mean that you don't have the ability? Does it mean that they don't want you to because you're going to be better off than them? Maybe they're jealous or something. All those are reasons that you need to understand, but you don't have to accept any of them. Because when you put your mind to something, you pray about it, it will come to pass. I truly believe God gives us the desires of our heart if we come to him in pure spirit and we pray and lift it. As simple as that. So my legacy is you can do anything you put your mind to. And the other part of that is that you only have one life. God gives you one chance to make it the best it can ever be. And so when you, and this is kind of sad, but because we're talking legacy, when I pass away, I don't want people to say that she was a good person. I want them to say she shone a light on my life that I could do anything I wanted to do. That's what I really would like for people to remember me by. And, will I get that? I don't know. But it's something that I believe that if I have the courage to step up and I'm strong, even when I don't know what's out there, I'm just going blind faith into it. I do believe that the results of me taking that venture is going to be absolutely the inspiration and strength that someone else can tap into so they can do the same. I believe if we work hard to leave a positive message and lift others, no matter what our calling is in life, what we do is we literally not only inspire, but we ignite a circle of positivity. And therefore, we have kindness coming from us or being inspired by us or from us, right? And we are able to perpetuate that. And I believe there's like a little story about how, a little girl was at the seashore. She's picking up one starfish at a time and throwing it in the water. And somebody asked her what she was doing. She said, she was saving starfish, and the comment was, well, there's an awful lot of starfish. And her comment back was that this starfish, it matters all the world to them. And so that's what I think, like, even in my business, when I have ladies come here and they try on clothes and stuff like that, in the moment that they're here and they're having a private moment and I'm coaching them and, showing them how they can, dress for success, and or whatever the lifestyle is they're trying to achieve, what their goal is, the encouragement there is one customer at a time. That's why they think I have rockstar service. Not only do I have the epic inventory, I have rockstar service, because what happens here on the mountainside stays on the mountainside. And so when I use that approach in other parts of my life, people get the same result. It's, living life is not about you. It's about all those people that are in your life, right? So if you can put your best foot forward, you're inspiring them to do the same. And that's one starfish at a time, right? Together we can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Together, yes, we can definitely make a huge difference. So, in your story, I remember you talking about reading loads and loads of books during your school times. Is that a practice that you're still continuing, or has it changed?
Well, it hasn't changed, it's morphed. Well, I mean, I haven't put reading down, but what I will tell you, as a child, and I was in this storm trying to sort things out, I couldn't go to anybody and talk to them because I lived in an age where nobody wanted to talk about what I was going through. So all I had was the library and me. And so I went and I read, and I had high aspirations to read everything in the library. Um, as I grew older, and when I was in college, I was having to read a lot of technical things, so I didn't really read self-improvement books that much. I mean, occasionally I would have one, but I was mostly doing what I had to do for school. And then when I got out to college, I started working and I was reading all these technical manuals. I didn't really have any time for self-improvement. But what I did do is the advent of Alexa. I gotta be quiet. She might turn on right now. So I'm doing tactical things in my business, like hanging clothes or unboxing or moving things around. Alexa's running and Alexa is reading me some book or something, or I'm listening to some really good music, or maybe a sermon, maybe from one of my favorite radio pastors, But the Alexa thing has really given me a new fuel for my fire. Um, I believe that reading, whether or not you see it and sit down and read it, which, by the way, I do sit down with my husband every morning. We have coffee and Bible study, and we read the Bible. There's no reading it to us. We read it. We talk about it together. But short of the Bible in print, and I have a lot of books people give me, I will try to get Alexa to find it, and then she'll read it to me. And so I'm staying current on things I need to be current on. And there are things I'm hearing that I can actually include in what I'm doing in my day-to-day life, whether or not it's business, family, personal, what have you. But I never envisioned when I was a kid that there would ever be an Alexa in my life. That's why I'm saying it's kind of like morphed. But you could see me as a kid. I would have books clutched in my arm. My favorite spot, I didn't say this in the last interview, so I'll tell you, my favorite spot to read, the house where we lived had a porch swing. And, a lot of the porch swings now are maybe 4 feet long, but at this house where I lived, it was like 7 or 8 feet long. So I could literally grab a pillow and stretch out on the porch swing. And I would lay down and I would be reading these books. I'd bring like nine home during the week and then like 20 on the weekend. And that's all I did. I mean, I I had homework. It was done before I left school. It was done. I had my homework already done. If I had a term paper and they said it was due at the end of the month, I had mine due the first of the month. I was turning it in early. I always got my stuff done because I never wanted anybody to complain or bring it to my mother's attention that I wasn't a good student. I was afraid for what might happen. So anyway, but reading, it was all I did. I mean, if I wasn't reading, then I was at my uncle's house or my grandparents' house or something. I was always somewhere else or reading at home. That was the only thing I did at home besides sleep, was read.
And with all your reading and all, do you think writing your own book is something that you're thinking of or already doing?
I have started jotting notes down, and yes, you should know formally that I want to do this, and I want your help, just like you've helped with this book. This has been an amazing, fulfilling experience. I never really envisioned. Okay, so on my goal list, being an author has always been there, and I could kind of like fake check it off because I've been the author of tons of technical publications in the high-tech industry, but I've never written a book. And I can't really check it off because this is an anthology. This is a collection of other people's work with this. So I need to check it off. So I'm definitely going to do it. And I do believe it would be a blessing to others to learn about my story, only because they could probably relate to it. I know so many people that have had very similar experiences, but the biggest thing is that they need the courage to step forth. It's such a cathartic experience to be able to share. And, it's sometimes I'm a little bit more sensitive and I break down and cry. But I do believe over time, age has actually softened my perception of the bitterness I had at one time for my parents and that whole situation and why I was brought into the world. I know that even though I had all that negative programming early on, I know that God has a plan for me and it's bright. So, it's just one of those things. I do want to write. And I know there's more than one book in me. Right now, the focus is the storms. I've had many other storms in my life. So, and how I dealt with it or what I did with it, it will you're probably going to have to help me pare it down into separate books because I could talk about the 35-year career and the things that I did. And I was a pretty weighty person and I was a vice president. Okay, big people don't get promoted very easily in this world, especially women. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's just so much there. I could talk about that. I could talk about professional and personal development. I could talk about how to build teams and keep teams. I could talk about small business. How do you get a business started? I could go crazy with books. But I want to be purposeful. I want the content to be useful, meaningful, and inspirational to others to be able to use it in a way that will benefit them. And who knows, it might inspire them to write their story. It could inspire people to not write, but maybe go speak, right? I think part of the writing process is speaking, because speaking brings the book to life in a way that gives people the courage to want to go get it and read it and possibly explore their own feelings, right? So anyway, yes, I definitely want to do that.
That's great. I'm sure, like all the experiences and all the knowledge that you have over so many years would definitely help people, support them, inspire and motivate. Uh, uh, you know, all those people that you mentioned, definitely. Do you have any last words of advice for people who are, uh, you know, swinging between whether they should write, whether they should share their story, maybe in the form of a chapter or a book or a blog post or a podcast, but they are kind of hesitant to share?
So, yes, I do have some advice. I'm going to tell you that doing what I did with you in this book with these other ladies, um, when I think about the goal of wanting to do it, it felt so overwhelming to me. And when I stumbled across you and we talked and you interviewed me, with ease, I felt so much better. I did not feel overwhelmed after the phone call. And then the process that you used, it was so structured, very informative. I will tell you, when somebody says, okay, just give me 2,000 words, that's not an easy concept, because I started writing and then I had to refine and write and refine and write and refine, and finally just got it to a point where, okay, it's 2,000 words. That's all you're going to get. But, it really helped a lot. And I believe it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 20 something years old. There could have been something in your high school experience that is noteworthy. Walking around with stuff in here and not sharing it hurts you, but it hurts the community at large, because if they had your knowledge and wisdom when they venture down the same path, they might make better choices for themselves and their life might be a little bit easier. So I believe writing is a pure joy of giving back. And it also is incredibly cathartic, because you're able to work through how you perceive the situation at the time versus at the time you're writing the book. I mean, there's such a growth opportunity there, that you're denying yourself. And so I do believe it doesn't matter how old you are. If you've got a passion in life, or you've got some experiences that are like jaw dropping, when I say jaw dropping, people are stopped in their tracks when they hear you say something about it. That's important, because there's not a lot of that going on. People aren't talking about these kinds of things. They're talking about things that do nothing but stew toxicity and negativity and, impale our day-to-day life. And what we need to do is talk about, okay, this happened, but this is how I dealt with it. Because even parenting, kids don't come with an instruction manual. All you got is the Bible. You might have some wisdom of grandparents or parents, but for the most part, it's you and those kids. And I don't care how old your kid is, the first kid that comes out, the firstborn, is going to be victimized by whatever you do from their perspective. They live with that, and that's what they think all the time. So there are standards that your children expect you to maintain and live by, and they're not the controllers of who you are. They don't understand you're a first-time parent, right? Hey, I'm getting experience with the first one, and the second one's maybe a little easier. So taking the time to write is a gift to not only yourself and the community, but it's also a gift to your children and offspring, because maybe they'll never get to know you or know the stories that formed who you are until you have written them. So I strongly encourage you to consider it, because it's a lost opportunity if you just shake your head and walk away and you really have a story in your head.
Yeah, thanks so much for making it all so clear. And yeah, so as we wrap up, would you like to share about who you help and where people can reach you?
Yes. So I got a lot of things going on here, but I actually own and operate a clothing business. And so I have ladies that come in and shop for clothes and stuff, and I help them otherwise. But many people, I say this probably for the past 20 years or so, many people have told me that I should charge money for all the love and coaching and mentoring that I've been doing, and I haven't been. But with this book is a wonderful opportunity, a service mission, really, because 100% of the profits are going to a nonprofit, right? Um, we are taking this to lift others and to inspire others with this project. And so, what I'm doing is I'm kind of launching formally something that I've been doing for a long time, as kind of like a coaching. And the coaching is this: I'm going to listen to you, and I can help you formulate what your plan is of how you might be able to move out of a storm. But it's all you. In other words, I will help you see the clarity. You may actually be overwhelmed. You may have some sort of fog. I can help you with that. And I'm giving every reader the opportunity. I don't know how big this is going to get. I may have to change it where it's like a group of people at one time. But right now, I have on my calendaring, I can't say it, my calendar software. I have a way for you to subscribe. Well, not subscribe, but a way for you to actually schedule an appointment. And I'm going to give you 45 minutes totally free. We can get to know each other. You can ask me questions. And at the end of the conversation, we'll decide if you really want my help, how long you might need my help. But what is said between you and me will stay between you and me. And no one needs to know about it. Right? If you want somebody to know about it, that's great. But if you don't want anybody to know about it, guess what? You don't have to say nothing to nobody. I won't. I definitely won't. So you could go. We're having problems on the internet, and I'm told that it works. I have a website, donnathomas.us, and you should be able to do it. But I'm hearing that there are some problems with that. So if you go on Facebook and you look me up as Donna J. Thomas, author, on Facebook, you should be able to also access me. I have another website called mamadonna.us. You can do that. Mama Donna is what my customers call me, so that might be easy for you. And let me see. Oh, the scheduling place, you go to bookmountainside.com, and the very first entry is the 45-minute session. So you can go ahead and get on there. Even though I could possibly take scheduling right now, it's going to be after July 29th, after the book is published. So anyway, I hope that helps. And then, if you're on Facebook, you want to ask to be my friend, you can ask to be my friend. You can also do personal messaging to me. But I will tell you, I get, in any given minute, I probably have somewhere between 10 and 20 windows open. So you need to be patient with a response. You can also email me at, I'm trying to think here. What would be a good one is hello@mountainsidegals.com. That's an email address you can use. Hello is deliberately double word, hello @mountainsidegals.com.
Sure. So all of you who want to get in touch with Mama Donna, you have all the different places where you can get in touch with her. Thank you so much for taking the time out and sharing about your story and the different experiences that you have gone through. We look forward to all of you getting a copy of the book. We are releasing the ebook on the 29th of July, and I'm sure you can read all the stories and get to know all the authors better. So, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great day. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.